It's a cool, airish, very windy day in the mountains of southern Appalachia. Feels kind of good in here in the greenhouse though, doesn't it? Are you freezing? I'm freezing when I go outside. But even though it's a little on the cool side, we're going to do some planting today, so I'm really excited about that. First thing we're going to do is plant our peppers in here in the greenhouse, and then we'll carry them back in the house and put them in our, what do you call it, Matt? Grow shelf that's got the lights and the heated mats. We'll take those back in there, and then we're going to go outside, which I know Matt's excited about. Yeah, we're going to plant our carrots and maybe a few other things. Can't wait to get started with this year's garden. Matt's going to be filling up my containers for me, and I was going to share the seeds that we're going to grow this year. This is the habanada. We really love that one, and we didn't have it last year, so we didn't get to grow it. But I'm excited about it, and it's not a hot one. It is a sweet pepper. And those numbers is Matt's helped me. I always just plant and don't even think about it, and he's more, what do you call that, analytical, methodical, something like that. Mm-hmm. And so he said, let's go out and see how many places we have, and then let's figure out how many to plant. So he helped me figure that out. We're going to grow 3 of these. The Marconi, we really like those. That's a sweet pepper too. The shishitos, we've been growing those for many years now, and they are so prolific, and they're tasty. They're tasty when they're green, and they're tasty when they're red too. And then these, the pepperoncini, I think's how you say it. Matt requested these, so we're going to do 4 of those. Then the hot ones, we're going to do Matt some jalapenos. And we're going to do some cayennes, which he really wants so that he can make some more of the pickled peppers, or pickled tomatoes that he's enjoyed so much. He enjoys the peppers in them too, but it's primarily the green tomatoes that he loves. And we have a video about that if you missed him making them. And then there's one that we want to try this year that Marianne sent us, Marchant, I guess is how you say that pepper. It's a hot pepper too. So we're just going to do 1 or 2 of them and see what Matt thinks about them. And I said we didn't get to grow any of the habanadas last year, but really we didn't get to grow anything last year, any of those that we really love. We bought some jalapenos from the Satterfields and enjoyed some of them. Matt got to. But all of our other peppers, they never made it past this stage. We planted them, and they all sprouted and come up, and then, because mostly it was our fault, we didn't take as good a care of them. Granny had a long stay in the hospital. Katie had a baby. They got neglected, and so we didn't end up planting not even 1 of our own peppers last year, which was really strange, wasn't it, Matt? Uh-huh. But I bought some gypsy peppers from Wayne's Feed Store in Murphy. They did pretty good. And then we bought some other, I bought them at Walmart, just thinking of not green peppers. Of course, you can eat them green, but like the ones you buy at the supermarket, the yellow and the red. And none of them really done very good. But it was because of the really dry summer that we had, I think. It just wasn't a year for peppers for us, and it's interesting how it started out like that in the, even from the very beginning of the year. We failed on this, and then we kind of failed the rest of the year too. So we're looking forward to a good pepper year this year. What did you say?
I said if we don't have a good pepper year this year, I'm going to resign.
I don't think that's very nice.
What do you mean?
That you're going to resign?
Well, I'm talking about if that's as good as if I keep being a failure.
Oh,
then
you mean
I don't need to be dragging down the company is what I'm saying.
I thought you was going to blame it on me.
No.
Well, this year, I'm hoping for a good year.
I'm trying to show integrity. I don't want to bring everything down. If I'm the broke cog, I'm going to remove myself. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Since you're the master grower and I'm not, I just piddle about here and there. You see.
Well, that didn't take long with Matt's help. Quick job. We ended up planting more than what we said, more than what we wrote. I think some of the ones I'd wrote 3, I planted 4, and Matt he planted the hot ones. He went for 4 of the new one we're trying, and how many of the others?
8 of the jalapenos and just 4 of the cayennes.
So we planted more than we said we was going to.
Well, you can't just leave empty holes.
I know,
you
right? Once you've already got them filled, and we can, if we have too many to plant somewhere, we will share with Corey and Granny. Although they probably wouldn't want the hot ones. Austin might want the hot ones.
Yeah, he ate them.
Corey wouldn't want them. But also, sometimes you can plant extra because you never know. Some of those seeds something may happen to them. I hope most of them live, unlike last year. So we're hoping for a better year with that. And when it comes to planting, like the seeds, what we use to plant them in the soil is we just use potting soil. You can buy specially made, or if a lot of people make their own. I'm sure that's fantastic too. I know it is, but we don't do that. We just buy potting soil and we plant them in the potting soil. And as far as how deep to plant it, with pepper seeds, we just make sure they're covered. I mean, I don't really measure, but after all these years, truthfully, I never measured in the beginning when me and Matt first started, because I didn't even think about something like that. I just put it in there.
Poke it in there and cover it.
Yeah, and covered it. And then after I began to learn more about gardening, I found out, well, there's seeds that like a certain depth and all that. But most of the time, I like to say, it's true, seeds just really want to grow. So you don't have to do it perfection. Just think about that. The seed really wants to grow. So we cover with pepper seeds, though. We, like Matt said, poke a little hole, put it in there, and cover it up and pat it down. Matt's going to water them in, and then we'll leave them sitting out here in the sunshine for today, but we'll take them just while we're outside working, and then we'll take them inside and put them where it's warm. And with pepper seeds, I have found what really helps them germinate is the grow mats. That really makes a huge difference. If in years past we've planted them out here and it works, it just takes them a whole lot longer to grow because it's cooler. So it just takes a whole lot longer for them to germinate, and then they grow very slowly. So year before last, we had super peppers, and it was because that was the first time we used, I think that was the first time we used the grow mats.
They like it hot.
They liked it, yeah, that warmth. And then what happened is that meant that earlier in the summer we could plant them. Starting them out here, they do grow and they germinate and they grow. They're just so slow that it might be like, June or July or something before they actually get big enough to plant in the ground. And then you're not getting peppers until it's about time for frost. So it still works, but it's wonderful to have peppers sooner, especially if you're like us and you can a lot of things, and you need those peppers to make your pickles and things like that. Matt got me some nice rows set up so that we can plant some stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what I've got to plant is I've got some onions. These we won't let them get that big. We'll eat them as green onions. So we're gonna plant some of those. I've got some radishes if we have room. Plant some of those. And then we'll do a couple of rows of carrots. I've got too many probably out here. There's a purple one that we've never tried before. So Matt'll have to help me figure out which row we're going to do what. Well, we need like 2 rows of onions, don't we? I guess start with the onions and then see what we got left.
Mm-hmm.
Matt made these rows so large, I think I can do a double little row or kind of offset them so that I can do more. And we call these onion buttons. You can get them at big box stores. Of course, you can order them lots of different places. And they're an easy way to grow big onions. Like if you want to grow onions to store, we don't usually ever do that. There's me a rock. We might end up with a few by the end of the season, but most all of these we will just pull and eat as green onions. So I like to put the onions in and then come back and cover them. You could do it either way you wanted to, but when it comes time to covering them, I'm just going to make sure that they're covered on top, that you can't see them. And I know there's lots of different ways to do onions, but this is just how we do ours. And like I said, we do ours mostly for green onions. These are gonna be good, ain't they, Matt? I love to see them when they start coming up and remind me of soldiers or something, just all in a row. Here's a piece of parsnip from last year. We're not gonna plant parsnips this year. Matt wouldn't have let me plant them last year, but I tried them for Corey and Katie because they really like them. They didn't do worth a flip, did they, Matt?
No.
They grew, they just didn't amount to nothing. They were just skinny and tough. See, down here I planted 3 in a row, taking advantage of Matt's nice wide row he made me. One thing I need to do is I'll use this so I can plant the rest of the row. Make me a marker how far the onions went. That's one reason I don't like to cover them up as I go, because then I forget where I'm at. I think I decided on trying these. We grew these and really like them, the scarlet and the red core. And I just can't resist trying the purple though. Maybe not plant as many of those, but plant a few, see if we like them. For the radishes, we're going to do the early scarlet globe and also the hailstone. And I'm not going to mark them since it'll be obvious which is which. Matt and I have been doing the Q&As where people ask us questions, and someone asked if we ever planted green peas or early peas. And we used to, but they just never did real good for us, and we just got out of the habit of it. But of course that question got me to thinking about it, and I wanted to tell Matt I had some on hand. Why don't we plant them? So we're going to plant some green arrow and little marvel, and these would be early peas, so that by the time we want to plant our tomatoes down here or whatever else we're going to plant, that we would be able just to pull these vines out if they do anything. We'll see how good they do. You can see that we're back in the shady part of the garden now, so this may not be enough sunshine for them here, but we'll see. These were the little containers that we planted last fall. It was really late when we planted them, and I knew they might not make it, but I just wanted to plant them, so we did. They didn't make it. We had just an unusually cold winter. Most of the time our kale and things like that will make it through the winter. It did not this year, sure didn't. So they're still sitting here though. This is where the kale was. It all come up, but it just didn't thrive because of that cold weather. So I think I'm going to scrape some of that back in some of these, at least 2 of them, and I'm going to plant some lettuce in them. So these were some seeds that Darla sent us. I think I'll do this one there, and I'll do some more kale in this one. What?
Don't crowd me.
What?
Don't crowd me.
I'm crowding you. Crowding you. Well, we got everything accomplished that we wanted to. Feels good to be back out in the garden. Matt thinks it feels better right now than it will in July.
Gosh, yeah. It'll be a misery then.
It'll be hot. You have to remember this cool day. It was warm today when we got up there in the sunshine, but as soon as the wind blows, you feel the coolness.
I was thinking about gardening a Speedo this year.
Oh, goodness.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. Some people might like it and some people might not like it.
I'd say that your views would drop to about nothing. But I'd be cooler.
I know you'd be sunburned.
Yeah, I would be sunburnt. It'd be like
That
that
wouldn't
time
be.
we went to the lake when we were dating, you remember, and I got so bad sunburnt.
Yeah,
Gosh.
long, long time ago.
That hurt for many days.
One time we went, more recent than that, but still a long time ago, we went to see Sam and Wanda like in March up at the lake, and Matt's aunt and uncle have a place at the lake, and it was in March, so, and it was a warm day. There was no cool wind like today, so of course we had on, you know, I don't think nobody went swimming. Did the girls go swimming? I know we didn't. I don't think so. I think we were just sitting out looking at the water and just enjoying fellowshipping, and we got really sunburned, all of us.
When was that?
It's been a long time ago. Long time ago. That's probably the worst I've ever been sunburned, though, and it was in early spring. It was my legs. It was my legs and my arms. I must have had on capris or shorts or something that day.
Yeah, bad sunburns hurt.
I do.
Remember, I
hurt.
got sunburnt again year before last, just my legs from when I was fishing in the kayak, you remember, and I got burnt so bad. And I knew better. You know, I just got so wound up in the fishing. I didn't even have shorts on. I had on a pair of camo cargo pants, and it just got nice and hot, and I just rolled them up way up here and kept fishing. Next thing I knew, I thought I was beginning to feel it while I was still there, and I thought I have messed up. And then about the next morning I realized I had, and it was quite a few days of putting aloe lotion and couldn't hardly stand to pull my pants on, and they peeled, and just big old hunk, big as your hand, peel off your legs. You ever had that happen?
Vinegar, people say vinegar helps. I think you put vinegar on them.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. And aloe, lots of different remedies supposed to help. The main thing is don't get sunburned in the first place. It's the best remedy.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be down in your drawer tail out running around. Like, put some clothes on.
Yeah. Today is typical March weather for sure.
Yeah.
With the wind, and you feeling the sunshine, and as long as the wind's not blowing, you're like, gosh, it's hot. I could probably put on shorts. I could, maybe lay out in the sun if you want to do that or something. And then that wind blows, and you're like, I think I need to go sit by the wood stove.
You go down the front of the house and you strip your shirt off, and then you come back here to do something, and you want to put a coat on.
I know. Yeah, it's
It's
different.
just crazy.
Yeah. I love noticing things like that, though, about the weather. About each time of the weather, how like that, just something that simple, that it's warm in the front of the house but not back here. And even in the front of the house, you can just for a minute think, I'm getting a little warm, I may have to go change, put on a short sleeve shirt, and then the wind blows and you're like, no, I think I'll leave what I've got on. I like noticing those things. There's all kinds of, for people that really notice it, all kinds of like weather lore about things, sayings and stuff. Of course, there's the most famous one that most people know about it, and I get it mixed up, but about it being pink in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there's all kinds of ones like that. I've got some of the blog posts on the Blind Pig and the Acorn I could link to, and you could go if you're interested in that kind of thing and read them. Jim Cassida did a post where he shared a whole lot of them, and I think Ethelene Dyer Jones too. I have one from her. Anyway, those are interesting, that people back in the day when they couldn't just look on their phone or watch the Weather Channel, they come up with all kinds of different little weather tidbits to guide their lives, I guess.
Well, they're just more attentive to what was going on around them in the natural world, and that's You know, and I'm not that way either. But what I'm saying is you seem to have more knowledge when you do those sort of things,
Yeah.
as opposed to relying on an app.
Yeah.
You know, I say that loosely. I mean, I've got one or two of them myself, but I don't care for them very much. I mean, I don't care that I've got them, but I'm ashamed of it. It's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
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 So the things we planted today, though, if you're not familiar with gardening, you may not know, those are all like cold hardy stuff. We will definitely have cold weather, even colder than today, before true spring of the year arrives. We'll have lots more frost and maybe a snow if I'm lucky, but we'll definitely have a lot of heavy frost between now and then. But those things that we planted can stand a little bit of that. It won't hurt them. Mm-hmm. They'll just grow a little slower between now and if we have several cold nights, they'll just kind of stay where they're at, and then they'll pick back up. So there's those early things. We need to get our cabbage out. It's another thing, but we're waiting on them to get a little bit bigger. But we'll go ahead and put those out pretty quick, I guess as quick as we can get the gardens done. But all the things we planted today will be just fine in the colder weather. And the carrots, we're planting those early like this because that's the only way we can grow carrots. That's the trick that we found that worked for us. We tried for years, and I finally just give up trying, and just wasn't gonna, after you do something like 5 or 6 years in a row, you're like, I just might as well forget it. And I should have researched more back then instead of I would just go read what was on the back of the packet and go by that. But anyway, when I finally figured out what worked for us, I seen a video, and I wish I could remember the name of the video or who it was, but I can't. But they just said one of the reasons is people fail at carrots is they don't plant them early enough. So I thought, well, okay, we'll plant them early enough. So we've been planting them in February. Last year and the year before we planted them earlier than this, but still we're right there at that, I guess at the cutoff. And they grew. Mm-hmm. That was it. They grew for us. So, and didn't just barely grow, they really grow. Really do good.
Yep.
So I don't know, that might work for you and it might not. It's another interesting thing about gardening once you start gardening. The best way to do it, I say research and read. You should do all that, or ask your elders, ask people in your community. But the best way to learn is just to do it. And then you find out what works best for you. So like what me and Matt do may not work for somebody else at all. It's another fascinating thing about the weather and the landscape is each little area has its own kind of microclimate. So definitely ours is different. Even the distance between us and Granny, because we're further up on the ridge and shaded more by we're higher on the north side, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we get less sun than Granny does. Mm-hmm. Then in turn, my Uncle Henry, a few houses down from Granny, he gets even more sun than Granny. Mm-hmm. So it's all those little microclimates. You have to figure out what works at your place, which is a really fascinating part of being a gardener, I think.
Yep.
Lots of different ways to do things, but you got to figure out what works best for you.
Yep.
Especially in gardening. So.
Best way to do things.
It's the way you want to do them.
Right. That is a profound statement. He's smart coming up with that.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's so many different ways. And lots of things in life, but especially when you think about gardening, and you just got to jump in there and then figure out what works for you and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
In one of our videos this past week, I had a little clip of Granny peeling apples. And so many of you noticed, and I didn't notice it till I was actually editing the video, that Granny had saved the little seed out of the apple. Now, I noticed it when I was there helping her because she had a little plate and she was putting all the seeds on it. But a lot of you ask, what is she going to do with those seeds? Well, Granny believes in planting them, don't she? Mm-hmm. And then someone said, well, she plants them, but do they make apple trees that apples are on? No, not usually. But she just can't resist. She just can't resist. So she'll get her and she might not plant all of them at the same time, but she'll get her a little planter and maybe plant you know, 5 or 6 or 7 or something in there, and then the ones that come up, then she'll try to move them to somewhere else. She's not able to do a lot of that stuff today like she did when she was younger, but she'll often tell me, you ought to get you one of them apple trees now, you ought to get one, you ought to get one of them apple trees. And sometimes she'll just let them dry out and save them, thinking she's going to plant them. She's full of hope, Granny is. She's going to plant them when she gets better. You know, when things get better, she's going to plant them. She'll have them. But we do have one of her trees growing out here, the little one.
Did she plant that?
Yes, that was one that she planted.
I did not know that.
And the same type of those apples that she was putting up, because it come from Tim down the road. I don't, are those Fuji or what's the other one? Gala. There's one of those. I can't remember which one he grows, that his trees are. Anyway.
I think it's Fuji apples.
Yeah, I think so too. So how tall is that one out there? It's about,
It's about 2.5 feet or so.
Yeah, but when I first brought it up here, it was teeny, and it's not in a good place, but it's just the only place we had to put it.
And I try to be careful around it, and I continue to be, and I'll be more careful now that I know she planted it, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, she did. But it's...
I'll go out there and baby that thing now.
I didn't. We probably should move it and put it in a better place, and it might do better.
Yeah.
We might take it down to the big garden. I don't know. I don't know that it would ever produce apples or not. I don't know how all that works, but I know Granny's planted peach pits and plums, and then had her a tree that had peaches and plums on it, you know. So she's got a plum tree down there that produces a few plums every year. And then she had, I don't know what happened to that peach. I think it finally died, but she had a peach tree in the front, remember where you parked? And it produced quite a bit of peaches. It was little, they were little and they were white, but they were good. They were good peaches. But something finally happened to that one. So Granny does save them, and she does plant them. Granny is a saver, like a lot of people from, I guess, grew up like she did, and she believes in saving things. And if she don't, you know, she tells me sometimes, when I'm gone, then you'll know what to do with all this. You'll use it. And I'm thinking I probably won't, but but okay, maybe I will some of it though. That's the good thing about having someone that saves everything. If you need something, there's a good chance Granny's got it, and you don't have to go to town. You can just go down at her house and prowl till you find it.
I think she might have passed that gene on a little bit, too.
You think so?
I do.
I don't know. I've been getting rid of stuff left and right this year. I've been getting rid
well, you're... what you see as getting rid of a whole lot of stuff in your mind is a different thing than what I see you getting rid of.
Oh, I know. I've been taking carloads out of here. I took a carload out this morning.
Well, okay. I absolutely don't want to disagree. But those amounts are not as big as they're certainly not as big as what's left.
Well, I'm still working. I'm working on it.
Okay.
I worked on it last Saturday. Worked on it today, actually, when I got home. This morning I had to go get groceries and get Granny's groceries, and I went through 2 cabinets when I got home.
Did you?
Because I just couldn't stand it no more. Yes.
Which cabinets?
In the kitchen. 2 kitchen cabinets, because I was tired of stuff falling out on top of me.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue. It's amazing what you find, too, that you forget you had when you start doing that. Matt's drinking hot chocolate, and I'm drinking the golden milk. I'm really sold on the golden milk.
Oh, it's good.
And a lot of people in the last video where we shared it asked if I had it wrote down, a recipe. Now there's a video, the first time I made it in an Instapot, and I used coconut milk, didn't I? I think so. Yeah. And it was good, but it was just way too strong, I thought. I mean, it was good, but it could be better, I thought. So I kept tweaking with it. And when I used whole milk, that's what we liked the best, was just using whole milk. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but I do have where I kind of wrote down, I shared on the Blind Pig and the Acorn. I will link to that in the description below, so if you'd like to try it. And it's just one of those recipes you just need to tweak and fix to your liking. And today I didn't even put the turmeric in it. It's just the ginger and the milk and the maple syrup. That's all I used. But it's pretty good.
Good.
It's warm and warming and, I don't know, satisfying, I guess is the word.
My Swiss Miss is good too.
I bet.
Slam full of sugar. I ought to be able to climb a bank here in a minute.
Yeah. Matt's still making progress, slowly but surely, on his building on the shed. So hopefully we'll have something to share about that. He's got it, what have you done, all squared
The
up?
progress is, I'm getting closer to getting a good start.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've
But
got
you
it
got
marked.
it all squared
I've
out.
got it marked and laid out and got it squared. And that took a little bit of doing because I was trying to build it as big as as big as the space would let me build it. But then once I tried to do that, I didn't have the room to get it square without, you know, dropping off down a slope or something. So I had to shorten the width of it a couple of feet. Got to keep the length, and then it squared up pretty easy. And now it's time to get all the holes marked for the little footers and go to town, get stuff, and come back and dig holes and mix concrete and get all that done, and then it'll be time to start get the lumber and get started raising poles.
That's the part you dread, the first, well, you dreaded the squaring, so that's done. And then the next part, you dread the foundation, the rest of it you're not worried about.
Yeah, once the poles are standing and I'm satisfied they're square and they're plumb and everything, then the rest of it's just like all the stuff we used to do, and I don't, other than it just being, you know, having to
Labor.
getting up on the roof and stuff and all that. I've not done that in a while, and I'm going to be a little slow and stiff. But there's a youngster lives down the hill here, might help me. I hope a little.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. We did manage to, yesterday Matt worked mostly all day. I helped him a little bit, but splitting all the rest of the wood that was left, which wasn't that much, was it?
Well, I didn't think so, but it ended up being about 5 hours worth of wood splitting. And I kept hoping I didn't have a whole lot of gas for the wood splitter. And I kept turning it off in between. I would get the wood and carry it closer so I didn't have to walk so far to get the wood. I kept turning it off trying to save gas. And it literally run out of gas on the very last stick of wood. And almost had it all busted.
Yeah.
That one piece. It was I saved it for last because it was a really, really mean, twisted up, double crowned. I mean, you almost couldn't bust it with a splitter. You sure couldn't do it with an axe.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was working on that one when it quit.
So that's good, though. We got all that split. We hadn't got it brought up here, but it's off the garden. So now that Matt can get it turned over, and that'll be good.
2 or 3 little trees left down there to cut, and then I'm going to roll that garden over. And then we'll be
ready.
We'll
have to do more, but I mean, that'll be the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these nice, even the cooler days has been nice because it's dried out that, which I think we're supposed to get rain, are we?
Yeah, about Tuesday and
But
Tuesday
maybe not
night.
as much rain as we had before, so it's dried, everything's dried out, which is good.
Yeah.
Me and Matt's like the turtle, we're slowly getting there.
What it is it starts slow in the early spring, and then it starts gaining speed as we get kind of back at it and get to moving a whole lot more. Then I guess we get back in the hang of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
After sitting here all winter and eating cornbread and watching TV, it's kind of slow to get started.
Yeah. We were hopeful that we would get something done about because last year was so dry, like an irrigation thing, but that's not going to happen. It might happen down at the big garden because that would be fairly simple for you to put a pump in.
Well, it ain't nothing that I've got to do ahead of time.
I meant like running, if you did up here, running all that stuff. That
Well, I could run it.
Even after the plants is done, what you're saying.
Pretty much.
But
yeah.
we're hopeful that we won't have a dry summer again. Maybe not. But anyway, you can't do it all. And I think me and Matt, neither one, didn't realize how much fun grandchildren are. But then also how much time they take. Because, my goodness, I'd rather play with them anytime than go outside and work.
Every time you walk by them, you got to do something with them. You got to grab them, pick them up, walk them around, play with them, talk to them, jabber at them.
You just got to love on them. And that takes up your time.
40 times a day of that, and half a day's took up.
Yeah,
but it's just going to happen regardless, because I can't quit it. Can you?
I wouldn't trade it for nothing. No, absolutely not. No, they're so precious and so wonderful. So anyway, if we get the shed done, that'd be fantastic.
That's the main goal.
It's the main
and
goal.
it's going to get done.
It's going to get done.
I've got it closer now to getting going on it than I have had. So
yeah,
I have procrastinated long enough.
I don't really think you procrastinated. I think it's just one thing and another getting in your way.
I think we've got so many little things started and going that you can't get none of them done. You just bounce between them, and then you play with the baby, and then you bounce between them some more, and then you eat some cornbread, and then you play the baby, and then Gunsmoke comes on.
You got to watch that.
And then, you can't walk by Gunsmoke and not watch a little.
Even though you already know what's going to happen.
So
you get pulled in, Miss Kitty and Matthew, and whether it's Chester or Festus or whoever, and Doc, they all just pull you in.
I never really ever gave any thought to that I would ever be this way, but I am, and I just am. And it's all right, I reckon. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm back when I was Katie's age, I would have said there ain't no way I'll ever be that way, but here I am. Mm-hmm. And there ain't nothing wrong with it, but I thought there was back then.
Yeah.
But I was used to just absolutely running hard and going as hard as I could go and working hard and hating what I was doing and just having to just get it all the time. And now I don't.
Yeah, we're very blessed.
Absolutely.
Very, very blessed.
But what I'm getting at is ain't nothing wrong with it, and I've realized that, and that's kind of strange in my head, but there's ain't nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. Slow down.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Time slow down.
Yeah.
Been at it a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, there just ain't nothing like those sweet little babies.
No.
And two, having raised children, we know how fast it goes.
Gosh,
right now, we're the apple of their eyes, but we won't always be like that. We know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know there'll come a time where they won't have time for us. Not that they won't love us, but they won't be as wild about us as they are right now.
Well, they don't know any better right now.
Yeah, so, we got to enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we better go in and cook supper. Because speaking of that, Austin and Corey's coming to eat with us, so we're going to get to enjoy both grandbabies tonight.
Yeah, it'll be a house full of jabber.
Yeah, a house full of jabber and a little crying and shrieking and
fussing and whatever.
Yeah, but we wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't trade it for nothing.
No.
We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and hopefully you're excited like we are about this garden, and you'll keep coming back so we can see if all the stuff we did today, how it produces in the future, and also see if Matt gets his shed built.